Warning.
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 Warning. You are entering into the unplugged mind of Paul Clough. Too late. Personal Development Unplugged.
Hey, welcome to the Personal Development Unplugged podcast with me. This is just a 5-minute quickie. 5-minute quickie as a little bit of an experiment, I think. Because at the moment, I've got a different recording equipment. And I'm sitting in a VW camper. And I've decided to test this out in the hottest day of the year. It's about 32 degrees outside. So you can imagine what it's like inside. It's terrible. But just for you, this is what I'm going to talk about. You see, how many times have you heard this? I'm no good at this. Oh, I just can't do it. I'm going to give up. How many times? How many times have you heard other people say that? And thinking about it a little bit closer to home, how many people have you heard yourself say it? I know I've said it before. I'll probably say it again. But hey, let's have a little look at this in a different way. You see, who says so? What's that? Who says you're no good at it? Who says I can't do it? Well, they both begin with I, don't they? Which means if you really, really, really believe that, it's an identity belief. And if you really believe that you can't do something or you're no good, then you need to do some work on that. But the thing is, I want you to think back to something that you do, which you just enjoy and you're reasonably good at it. Now, it could be something that you're really good at, but I want you to think back to the very first time that you began that little adventure of learning. How good were you then? Now, we all know that you weren't good at it at all. You might have a little bit of natural ability, but that wasn't going to get you right to the very end. So we know that when we start things, we're not as good as we want to be. And I think that's the difference. It's how we measure ourselves. And sometimes we measure ourselves by looking at other people's best of movie reels and compare it to our blooper reels. You know, we see people on Facebook, all that other type of stuff. And we're seeing them living the high life, doing everything so wonderful. Now, that is a snapshot, and it's probably completely false if you allow it to go forward or backwards. But the thing is, when you start in your learning process, I can guarantee you this, the thing that you were really good at, before you even started it, you weren't even aware of it. You see, that's called unconscious incompetence. I don't know that I don't know. And then we become aware of that subject, become aware of that thing. We still don't know anything about it, but we're consciously incompetent. So now we really know we don't know anything about it. But then we begin that adventure. We start learning. We start learning and doing a little bit more. We start getting more motivated. We spend a little bit more time with it. We ask questions. We maybe set a goal for ourselves. And the more we tend to do this work, learn, we then become consciously competent. That's a bit like when you drive a car. When you very first start it, you have to press the clutch if it's not an automatic. You've got gears, you've got the mirror, you've got the steering wheel. You've got everything to think about. And it is really clunky, isn't it? Anything you first learn, you have to consciously think, it's really clunky. But then, the more we get used to that, those behaviors, the things that we do, become unconscious. And then we call that unconsciously competent because we just do it. We couldn't tell people how we do it. We just do it. And that's the learning. And this is the real learning though from that is putting the top two together, the unconsciously competent and the consciously uncompetent or conscious. It's a hard one, isn't it? But you put them both together, you get mastery, knowing what you do, doing what you know. And that's when you start moving up. And that's when but the thing is, when you think about this, all the way through, if you had that belief, oh, I'm no good at this, I can't do it. How motivating is that? Not the most beneficial state setter, is it? It's not the best intention in the world. It's not supportive. What would happen if you just park that for a minute and say, well, look, I don't really know if I can do this or not. I'd like to find out. I'm curious how well I could do this. I wonder, what are the steps for learning? So many wonderful questions that when you set that, you set a state of curiosity, a little bit of motivation, you have a goal in mind, and you start taking that action to learn. And then that belief goes out the window because it's no longer there. You can't have that belief while you're progressing. All you know is everything is a step, a baby step to becoming unconsciously competent. Unconsciously competent. And then sometimes, here's the kicker, which really catches people out. Sometimes it then stalls, doesn't it? It's as if you're learning and you've got this rapid incline of learning, and then it just stalls, and it's like things just tread water. It just stays where it is. Now that's the thing. That's where you've got to hang in. Because when you hang into that bit, that's as if your unconscious mind is actually putting all these learnings together so you can take another, well, use it like a springboard to the next set of steps. So if you are feeling a little bit, it's not progressing at the same speed as it was before, hang in there. Hang in there. Keep going on, because it's like a little bit of confusion. Confusion means I've got all the information, but I haven't integrated it, put it into the right, it's like a jigsaw with all the pieces missing, or not missing, but they're not in the right places. And then all of a sudden, click, 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 the pieces come together and you move on, another springboard, and you move to another level. And that's when you start getting that really good belief. So the thing is, put yourself in the right state, a state where, think of a time in the past when you learned something new and it was a success. When you do that and you think back to that time and you just think and you see what you saw, hear what you heard, feel those feelings, and then take that state into this new bit of learning. And that's all it is, I think. It's really simple. In simplicity, there's genius. It's simple, but it takes effort, and it takes a concentration, a focus, maybe a little bit of deep work, all that stuff. I just wanted to give you something to think about in a 5-minute quickie. So if you ever hear the voice inside you saying, I'm no good at this, I can't do it, that's when you go, hey, get out. Think of a time when you were starting something and got successful, and you start setting the target you want, and you know there's going to be effort to apply to it, and then you do it. And then when you look back, you'll say, thanks, Cloughie, that was awesome. Well, you can say thanks to yourself as well, because you did it together, unconsciously and consciously. Anyway, I'm going to leave you with that thought. Have a muse, as we like to do here at Personal Development Unplugged. Have a muse. And with that, have more fun than you can stand, and just go learn stuff. See you till next time. Bye-bye. Before you go, my friend, I'd like to ask you a question. Did you learn something from this episode? I hope you did, because even though every episode may not be the one that really floats your boat, sets you, alight, hopefully there's a takeaway in each and every episode for you. And I'd love to know what it was. So please do email me at feedback@personaldevelopmentunplugged.com. It's a personal email to me. I'd love to know, so we can carry on doing this work that will allow you to exceed your dreams. And what's the payment for this? Payment, Cloughie? What are you talking about, payment? I thought it was free. Well, it's like, pay it forward. And if you could pay this forward in 2 ways, or maybe 3. The first way is, please share it. Share this podcast with as many people as you could. And you can. It's very easy. Just press that share button. Send it off by email to them. You'd love to. This is something you might get that right, Paul. Something you might enjoy. And hey, if you could, a real big pay it forward to me is, wherever you're getting this podcast, is it iTunes, Castbox, or Stitcher, or whichever you're getting it from, Google Play, I don't know, would you please just leave a review? Because the review really helps people find this podcast. There's thousands out there, and I want to direct people to this podcast. And the way to do it is by reviews. So if you could do that, if you could share, you could do that. And also just make sure that you're subscribed so you get this episode and every other episode on a Wednesday and a Saturday. If you do all of that, my little heart will sing. And if you want me to sing, well, you'll have to wait and see. Enjoy. But please do all of that. Make my heart sing. Bye-bye now.
Warning. You are now leaving the unplugged mind of Paul Clough. It's time to fly on your own. Be brave, my friend.
Personal Development Unplugged.